All right, we're taking a look at every game from round zero and talking a few SuperCoach points that are worth mentioning. There was a bit going on in this game, actually, and let's start with old mate Isaac Heaney. Now, I have gone back to him more times than some people have gone back to their ex. I mean, I'm not interested in it. I've been hurt too many times by Isaac, and then he goes and plays full-time mid and gets a whole heap of clearances, which is what I wanted him to do years ago when I picked him and pumped him up. I'm happy to pass. I know we're desperate in this forward line. We're looking for options everywhere, but I just think the time will come, particularly when Parker and Adams come back within a month. Time will come where that Sydney forward line without Franklin, they're struggling. The game's not going to plan, where he does go deep forward. I think he'll get more midfield time this year, but it'll be inconsistent. I think he'll frustrate us. So it's a pass from me. And look, Errol Goulden, as I just moved myself to the side here, Errol Goulden's 77. Now, I know it's just one game, conditions weren't great, but he felt more on the outside. And I remember watching one of the games in the Prackies, and they were talking about, Goulden using that outside run maybe slightly more, Jordan a bit more inside, Warner right back in the inside. This is what worried me the most, though. Now, the Goulden heat map. Well, I love myself a little heat map, but this is very, very wing vibes. His centre bounces were still okay. But look at this. What is going on here? That's some serious wing time. I don't like that at all. So I still think he'll be a really good option, but it has been enough in combination with his buys to just get me a little nervous. He's out of my team. So I don't know if I'm hitting the panic button, but he has left my side. Otherwise, I think right down the bottom there or towards the bottom, Matt Roberts, the role looked awesome. I think he'll certainly be worth a bench spot. And honestly, a little halfback rebounder. He could certainly pump out some 80-plus scores. I'm pretty optimistic on him. Brodie Grundy was clearly a huge one. I mean, I didn't lead with him off the top because I thought probably a lock anyway. You should have him for sure, but he just validated that. On the flip side, Max Gawn, I'm still a believer in him. Grundy did all his homework from all those training sessions with Gawney last year and brought it to him. And he certainly had a game plan that beat him. So I think Gawn will be right. I'm still starting him at my R1. Otherwise, from a Melbourne point of view, I thought Windsor looked classy at times, but I think there's better rookie options. I don't think he's one that I'll start. And Christian Salem, if we're really looking for options to replace Coleman, does he come into consideration? He was playing a bit more through the middle, scored 93, used his ball skills quite well. But, I think that was about a wrap, I think. Oh, Jordan. Jordan is worth mentioning as well, of course. So, shocking first half. Absolutely stunk it up. Ended up with 81, which is pretty solid. But I think the role will be okay. I think he'll be all right. But, it was a quiet first half. He looked nervous. He was fumbly, butchering some kicks. I think he'll be all right. So, solid option for that price, definitely worth a start. Brisbane and Carlton, this was a pretty crazy game. I mean, I must admit, me and my mates were watching this one Friday night. It looked to be all over, so at half time we're like, oh, let's duck out, grab an ice cream, get a couple of things from the shop. We came back and the Blues had bloody hit the front. I missed like the most epic comeback probably for the whole year. I was bloody in the self-serve checkout at Coles. But anyway, so from a SuperCoach point of view, I mean, Brisbane, there's not stacks to talk about. I mean, Kitty Coleman was the main one, and I've already done a video on that about his replacements. You probably either got to go up to Stewart if you want a bit of sideways vibes, Salem or Elliot Yeo if you're feeling risky. If you're going to go down, then Zach Williams is probably your guy. Now, as you can see, he's in my team. I only scored in the 70s, but he probably had that by either just before or just after three-quarter time. Certainly finished the game pretty quietly, so he'll be better for the run. Great price, history of good scoring. So I enjoyed the role. He'll be fine. He's a must-have. Jared Lyons, I mean, you wouldn't dare, would you? I mean, he's about 250, I think. Another guy with a history of scoring when he's in the right role. And I just wonder, with Will Ashcroft out of the side, injured, is Lyons going to slip back in there and actually get back to some of his best? I certainly don't want to pick him, but I like to think out the box sometimes. And speaking of which, Dane Zorko. With Coleman going down, I wonder who's going to play halfback for the Lions. Now, Zorko's played that role previously, so is Cam Rayner. They'll get McKenna back. It'll be interesting to see. Certainly not one to start with. Let's not get carried away. But I just wonder, as the year evolves, will he go to halfback? And he has scored well there in the past. So, other than that, looking through the... Gee, did Cripps only score 84? I thought he was better than that. Yeah, I had a bit of a brief look early, but I don't see anything too much. If I've missed someone, yeah, definitely let us know. But yeah, it was a blow for a lot of us with Coleman because he was in a quarter of sides, and he'll be in absolutely none now. Another interesting game, this one, as the Suns absolutely blitzed the Tigers in the first half, and then for a sec I thought we were getting a repeat of Friday night, just even more so. The Tigers were on a roll there, but it didn't last, and the Suns had a really good victory. So, in terms of our SuperCoach sides, I mean, for me, Thompson Dow, you're going to have to scroll a bit further than what this screenshot does. He only scored 23 and just looked really, really poor. I know the Suns dominated inside the midfield battle, but it really was enough to make me nervous. If he was at like sort of 123 or 150k, I'd probably still roll the dice, but at 250, that was something that just gave me cold feet on Dow. I thought Sexton looked really good, just scored 73 all down the bottom there, but I thought really nice role, SuperCoach friendly. It'll be great. And then look, obviously Tuke Miller was really good also. He's a lock. Sam Flanders, I think in the practice game I got a little bit nervous. He didn't play great, but having watched that game live now over the weekend, he just looked fantastic. And yeah, a lot was running the Suns' way. They were dominating, but he did have the fourth most centre bounce attendances, and there were only 4 that attended the centre bounce in terms of midfielders. So it's a really clear-cut group in the Suns' midfield. You got Anderson, you got Miller, you got Rowell, who went absolutely nuts, and then you got Flanders. So it's quite clear, and he's got a role to play in there. Rowell was insane, and I wonder if a few people are going to jump all over it. I mean, I don't want to be a dampener here, but one of the most insane clearance games of all time. And he didn't even break 140. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be too critical here, but he's not for me. I wouldn't get sucked into that one. He'll have a great year, but I don't think he's got the uncontested ball-winning ability to consistently score premium numbers. But yeah, otherwise, I don't think there was too much. Gibcus was pretty solid. Didn't have the best game, but a lot of intercept possessions saw him take an AFL fantasy score of about 38 to about nearly 80 SuperCoach. So that wasn't too bad, and yeah, I think that was probably all the relevant stuff. I mean, Butterick is in a few teams, and to be honest, he did score okay, but it's a no from me. I don't see him, often scoring 90s, and I don't see him having too much value at 300k. So a few caught my eye, and I think Flanders is back in my side now. Bit of a wrap from a SuperCoach point of view for the Giants and Collingwood game. There probably wasn't much to really focus in on for this game, and we didn't learn stacks. I'll do some wrap-ups and reviews of the other games as well, but just thought I'd start with this one as it was fresh in my mind. But yeah, there's probably more to talk about with some of the other games. But look, Nick Dacos, Tom Green, absolute locks in my opinion. That was just reassured to me. Whitfield played really, really well. Actually didn't score as good as I thought he would. AFL Fantasy absolutely tore it apart. I think he was the top scorer, but didn't quite translate to SuperCoach. I think he was 109. So Aaron Cadman, for those who have him on your bench in the forward line, I don't know about... Look, he's probably going to be an inconsistent scorer. I reckon there's better options there for us. Himmelberg turned up, so maybe there's a handful of people out there who may be considering him, but... look, the Pies, they didn't really get out of first gear too much. They looked like a side who were maybe just finding their best footy and were a fair bit off it at this stage. But the Giants did look good. So nothing too much to report from the Pies aside from, Nick Dacos, absolute lock.